Hello and welcome to Traxion Video Game Review. Joining us today is MXGP 20, the official motocross video game, which is, yes, as you probably guessed, the official game of the FIM Motocross World Championship. So let's jump in and see if it's any good. MXGP 20 is like a hot chocolate from a Cadbury sachet, a renowned name, distinctive taste, and straightforward preparation. But wouldn't you rather be drinking a large mug of hot chocolate served to you by your local cafe, sprinkled with soft marshmallows and whipped cream? Yes, of course you would. Being an official game of a real-life motorsport championship, MXGP 20 features expertly replicated bikes, riders, teams and tracks to deliver an authentic experience. Utilising the license, it has a career mode where you can take a rider from the bottom of MX2 all the way to MXGP World Championship glory, with vehicle upgrades, online racing, a track editor, time trials and even an open world area to explore. If you had a checklist of all the things you wanted from a yearly motorsport release, MXGP 20 would tick most of them. Somehow though, the end result is a little bit plain. Through the main mode, which is career, you start out in the feeder MX2 class using slower bikes in 17 double-header race weekends. You initially create your own rider from presets and input your name. You can then create your own team or sign from an existing one. Women's MX, which has been around in real life since 2005 though, is an obvious omission. If you do decide to sign for an existing outfit, you can still edit elements of the livery, which is a nice touch. For instance, if you sign with a sponsor, their logo can be added to your bike. Items such as handlebar grips and chains can be painted in the colour of your preference. As you progress through each race, you are given experience points, or XP, based upon your performance, helping you to rise through prestige levels. Higher levels mean you can unlock sponsors that pay out more MX credits, and MX credits can be spent on bike upgrades which help improve your performance. The aim is to do well enough in MX2 that you're promoted to the main MXGP class for the following season, and eventually you hopefully win the coveted World Championship crown. That all sounds enthralling. A nice work reward cycle. Unfortunately, the vehicle upgrade path isn't detailed enough to keep you engaged. You can buy a new front brake disc, for example, from a range of 15 different types, but you can only ever get 2 bumps in performance. You buy one set that gives you around 10% better retardation, or you buy a more expensive set that delivers around 20%. But that's it. So really, while it looks like there's a lot of choice, there's only really 2 types, and this also applies to items such as tyres and suspension. There's no development of part departments, nor any team management, and therefore any real incentive to invest is lacking. The net result is a career mode that plods along like a walk across a Lake District field, in the rain, at night, in winter. Sure, you're benefiting your health by being active, but it's a trudge. On track, your AI opponents are at least livelier than the progression structure. When you find the right difficulty level, you'll discover closely matched opponents that aren't afraid of overtaking and sometimes even take different lines around corners lap to lap. There is a tendency, however, for the top 2 or 3 riders to disappear off into the distance, and on certain tracks, like Russia, the whole field rides too slowly. You might feel like a motocross master after smoking them, only to be back in the mid-pack for the next round on the same difficulty level. Much like your rivals actually, the handling characteristics can be benign. You have 2 options, standard or advanced. In standard, it takes a big impact to dislodge your rider from the bike, and the dirt berms are forgiving. Switch it up to advanced, and for me the difference isn't big enough. You get more wheel spin exiting a corner, and your rider's propensity to fall off in a crumpled heap increases, but the challenge level doesn't really ramp up. For me, MXGP Pro, released back in 2018, was a bigger challenge for those who are looking for a sterner test. That's not the end of the world though. MXGP 20 is an approachable game to ride, and once you've learnt your way around the tracks, bumps and difficulty presets, you'll no doubt be able to find a level where you can win races even if you've not played an MXGP game before. I would, however, like to see some more visual aids for absolute beginners. This theme of solid underpinnings but little to inspire continues outside of the main mechanisms too. There's a full mode where you can create your own track, entitled Track Editor. You can select from 3 base environments: Apple Orchard, Woods, or the imaginatively titled Plain. Then the canvas is yours. Sharp corners, long straights and massive jumps can be added, and you can even share your creation to the world online. Despite a lack of an in-depth tutorial, the process is easy to pick up, and you'll be creating your muddy masterpieces in no time at all. The use of these user-created tracks though is a missed opportunity. For one, you can't add items such as trees or tyre barriers to your levels, which would liven things up a little bit. Secondly, the deluge of user-created content is relegated to a sub-menu within Grand Prix or Time Attack modes, the only places they can be used. Unlike Dirt 5's recent Playgrounds mode, the most popular user-created levels seem to be short tracks with titles such as XP Booster, and online leaderboards are notable only by their absence. Speaking of online leaderboards, they don't even feature in Time Attack mode, rendering it a football boot without studs. So far then, whether it's a career path that lacks enough options, a track editor that feels superfluous, or the basic online options, MXGP 20 feels solid, but also a game from a bygone era. Which is pertinent because this is a game that's made it onto the next generation consoles. An old school game on new school hardware. Playing on a PS5, there are rapid loading times, dynamic 4K resolution, and even 60 frames per second. Mud splatters onto the screen, shirts ruffle in the wind, and light glistens off the track puddles. All of this though highlights an ultimate lack of visual fidelity to the surfaces. In the rain, the mud looks malleable and your rear tyre creates a path. But in the dry, sometimes the gravel just looks like a block that's been covered in brown felt. You also get DualSense functionality in the form of a controller light changing colours as you go up the rev range, the R2 trigger bouncing when you're on the rev limiter, and a rumble feeling that is befitting of a dirt track. This all culminates in the Playground, an open world map set in the luscious Norwegian countryside. It's the best looking part of the game, with a deep forest and running streams adding to the character. In some ways, the visuals here have the next gen feeling that's lacking elsewhere in the game. In this area you can create your own waypoint challenges to share with other players, find races to take part in, and just generally explore. But there's not really any need to. There aren't any bike liveries or customization items to find, nor any hidden classic bikes to unlock. The XP and credits you earn here don't make a big difference, plus the races feel lackluster. If you complete a waypoint challenge, the game boots you back to the main menu and not back to the open world area. I think you may open this, try it for a few minutes, and not go back. In many ways then, the Playground perfectly encapsulates the mood of MXGP 20. On the surface, it's easily playable, nicely presented, and ticks the boxes. But scratch beneath the surface and it lacks the depth required to elevate it into the upper echelons of racing video game greatness. If you are an existing MXGP fan, there's fun to be had with the officially licensed content, but I'd like to see this series reach beyond what is a solid yet unspectacular yearly release. Bring on MXGP 2021. The Traxion verdict is consider. MXGP 20 is out now for PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One and Xbox Series. Thank you for watching and we hope you enjoyed this review. Please let us know in the comments what you think of the game and subscribe for more game reviews coming very soon. As always, keep it pinned.